Hello everyone, welcome back to the second season of Lost Speedways in Pennsylvania on this channel. I'm roaming around a residential neighborhood in the western Lancaster area.
Turn right
into Standardbred Drive will put us at the site of today's Lost Racetrack. We are in what I guess you could call Garden Spot, which is close to Lancaster, right off of what
right onto Standardbred Drive.
Used to be
then arrive at your destination.
Route 30. And actually right now we are physically on top of what used to be the Garden Spot Airport Racetrack. So this is the space where there used to be, and right at this exact intersection that we're pulling up to now, Paddock Lane and Standardbred Drive, is on top of what used to be a quarter-mile dirt track that we're going to be, I guess, exploring, although you can see there's not much to explore here, and talking about in this video. In the time period, Pennsylvania Route 462, which runs from York to Lancaster, was actually part of U.S. Route 30, which is why it is part of the Transcontinental Lincoln Highway. Back in the late 50s and early 60s, along this road in the small township of Donnerville, you would be able to find the Garden Spot Airport, a horse track, and the subject of this video, the Garden Spot Airport Speedway. Built to replace a recently lost Ephrata Speedway, the Garden Spot Airport became a new home for low-level racing in Lancaster County. There are only records of this racetrack hosting auto races in 1958, with a track going in for racing right beside what looks to me like a plenty fine track for small cars. This is a little misleading and foggy to me because I'm pretty sure the one on top is the car track and the bottom may have been for horses, but I wouldn't be super surprised if the bottom one also hosted car races. If anyone out there knows for sure, be sure to leave a comment on this video. This was a 1/6 mile dirt track, which as seen from those aerials has a covered front stretch grandstand and seating along the backstretch from the pits as well. It appears that the track had walls the entire way around with an interesting entry point onto the racing surface from the middle of turns 3 and 4. Nonetheless, the facility hosted micro-midget racing up the alley of the 270 and 600 micros that now frequent local tracks such as Clyde Martin and Linda's Speedways. The airstrip had been hosting drag races for a few years and continued to do so until 1959 on the other side of the property. Combined with the larger trotting track, this space would have seen a ton of exciting stuff in its prime. The Speedway would have been hosting races regularly for locals to come have some fun during the warmer months, likely with a points championship up for grabs. Records of the racing action are scarce, but we do know the competition lasted from 1958 to 1962. The end of the 1962 season in September would be the end of the micro-midgets at this location. The racing was brought to a close as the result of complaints from a neighboring mink farmer that the noise was stressing out his mink. I've come to learn from this research that mink are easily scared and shy creatures. The result was the end of the racing, and the track sat for Mother Nature to reclaim for about 30 years. In the early 90s, the land was converted to housing, now cut up by Standardbred Drive and Paddock Lane. There's not much left to show for the history of this piece of land. So if you look to the right, over there's like sort of a tree line. Out in the distance there's a industrial looking building. That used to be the Garden Spot Airport, and they used to obviously fly planes out of there. They used to do drag racing over there, but they don't anymore, and that is because of the mink farmer that I mentioned in this video. If you look over to my left here, you'll see down Saddleback Road. This is where the horse trotting track used to be. So here, and then up where these houses are, and behind them. And then where we were before was the actual racetrack. So we'll go back to it again. I'll turn left up here on Standardbred, and you can probably tell from the names of these roads that they named all of the roads after what used to be here, which was the horse trotting track. Physically right here, Paddock Lane, Standardbred, and then these fine people's home on the right. This is actually physically where the dirt track was. There's no remnants of it because it's been paved over and everything for residential area. make sure I don't run over the United States Postal Service here. And that's pretty much the whole tour of the area. It was all sort of left for dead in the late 60s, and then by the 90s all of these houses were here. So it's been about 30 years since this was even done up, but short enough video. This is Garden Spot Airport's dirt track, or what was, I mean, not over here anymore, but where we were before. It was right off of what was at the time Route 30, or the old Route 30. It's still part of the Lincoln Highway, which is a transcontinental thing that used to be completely Route 30. Now it is not completely Route 30 anymore because of populace and needing to make the roads bigger and better for our infrastructure. But that's Garden Spot Airport. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to tune in for the next one, because the next racetrack that we're going to go visit is literally right down the road, and I'm going to head there right now. So stay tuned for that video next time.